Galatians 2, verses 9 and 10 today, finishing out this section that in the New Living Translation says, the apostles accept Paul. This is kind of the last bit of the interaction here between Paul and those apostles at Jerusalem. And he says, in fact, James, Peter, and John, who were known as the pillars of the church, recognized the gift God had given me, and they accepted Barnabas and me as their co-workers. They encouraged us to keep preaching to the Gentiles, which we talked about, the non-Jewish believers, and they continued their work with the Jews. Their only suggestion was to keep on helping the poor, which I have always been eager to do. So Paul here, verse 9, talks about the pillars. They had a reputation in the church. They were recognized by the church, known as the church as kind of the leaders. Paul talked about, like, he didn't worship their status, but people looked at them as the leaders of the church. And so he looked at it. He talks about, other translations said they gave them, they were encouraging. They gave them the right hand of fellowship. Simply meaning this, like, the right hand was shown as a sign of no weapon, a peace. We're at peace with you. I'm for you. Jesus gave the illustration of, on the right hand, the sheep, on the left hand, the goats. So it's like we're accepting. It's a place of honor. They were really saying we have equality in apostleship. Because you're going to a different race of people and speaking to them doesn't make us better than you. They were showing equality here. They were walking with just saying, hey, they were recognizing that what God had given him. They recognized the gift. They understood that they were co-workers together. They were working together on even footing. And so obviously it was important that they did this because it set the tone for some of the other things that Paul's going to talk about here. Now their only charge, their suggestion, their reminder that they have for Paul that, hey, there's only one thing we want to make sure that you get right, and that was that they help the poor. But Paul said, I've always been eager to do that. I've always been helping the poor. I think that's telling, not to indict anybody, but I know I've worked in some ministry positions where, it seemed like we didn't necessarily want to help the poor. And throughout the gospel preaching, you see the poor being helped, those who are downtrodden. Jesus, obviously, in Luke 4, talks about that mission for us to minister to them and those who are less fortunate. And so I don't believe you can be a minister of the gospel and not have some heart to help those who are less fortunate, who are poor. And so Paul says, hey, I've always been willing to do that. So this closes out this section. The next section is called Paul Confronts Peter, so that ought to be interesting as we develop, and so that'll be in our next episode. We'll jump right into that. I hope this has been helpful to you in some way. I would appreciate it if you like, share, comment, leave any questions or corrections you might have, and have a great day.